Good afternoon. I'm JD Hartman, and welcome to the 537th Imagine Buffalo program. As I said, it's hosted by the Buffalo and Erie County Public Library, and we're really glad you joined us today. Before we get started, just a little housekeeping. Everyone watching will be muted and your video turned off. If you have a question or comment, please type it into the chat box and we'll go through them at the end of the presentation. And we'd really like to hear from you as well as our guest today. So in addition to that, we're recording the program so you can watch it again later on the Downtown Library's Facebook page and YouTube channels. And feel free to share the link with others. My name, as I mentioned, is JD Hartman, and I have the distinct honor of introducing our guest today, Juweria Dahir. Juweria serves as the Director of Innovation at for Entrepreneurship at the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus. She oversees the IC Success Business Accelerator program, driving economic and social impact through inclusive entrepreneurship. She supports entrepreneurs at all stages of their journey, from launch through growth. Additionally, she's the founder of JD Vertex, a consulting firm specializing in urban planning, business coaching, and data evaluation. She's also an adjunct professor of business and entrepreneurship at Damon University. Juweria is not native to Buffalo. She moved here in 2013, spending 6 years in government as a city planner and external affairs manager. She served as a key advocate for policies that help cities, neighborhoods, and businesses thrive. Juweria holds a master's from the School of Architecture and Planning at the University of Buffalo and has been recognized for her leadership and contributions to the Buffalo Niagara community. She is the recipient of several awards, including the 2022 Business First Idea Awards, the 2021 Athena Young Professional Leadership Award. Also in 2021, LISC, Local Initiative Support Corporation Community Builder Award. It goes on. In 2019, she was a Business First 30 Under 30 Award winner. And in 2015, the Buffalo Urban League Young Professionals Community honored Juweria as well. In her free time, which she doesn't have much of, I can tell you that because she has a family as well, Juweria leads HEAL, H-E-A-L International, a nonprofit organization focused on women empowerment, economic development, and youth enrichment programs. So, like I said, I'm honored to have Juweria here with us today, and let's hear from her now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, JD. You can all bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. JD, will you give me a thumbs up just so that I know it is all
loading and we can see it?
Awesome. Thank you for that warm introduction. And thank you so much to everyone who's here, who's going to be listening in. My name is Juweria Dahir, and I am, just like JD said, I'm the Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship here at the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus. It's abbreviated for BNMC because that's a very long name otherwise. But essentially, we're located here in 640 Ellicott. We're in downtown, in the heart of downtown. And if you're not familiar with us, think of us as an economic engine here in Western New York. And we've really been at the forefront of economic resurgence for more than 20 plus years. And I know some of my colleagues have spent some time here. And so I'm really excited to continue this conversation. But in terms of today, I'd like to just give a very quick highlight and overview of some of the work that we do, but we're going to spend a little more time really talking a little bit more about the entrepreneurial and innovation work. And so much of the work that I focus on is centered around the next wave of Buffalo's growth and development. And we know that is really entrepreneurship, small businesses, because they're such a heartbeat of our community. And so we've got overall 4 pillars. And that's, if you look at the logo, we went through a major rebranding about a year or 2 ago. And so the colors really make it easier to tell our story. But in no particular order, one of our first pillars is really improving the infrastructure and managing our sustainable campus. So if you're familiar with the district, that goes through our district arm. And then we have our second pillar, which is really focused on sustainable transportation solutions. And then our fourth is the health and well-being. And this is where we do much of our health and equity work. We put together symposiums, yogas, and dance classes to really activate the campus and not just think of the campus as a place you go to when you're sick. And then finally, the last one is really nurturing what it means to be an innovation district. And so this is where I focus on. And at the core of the innovation pillar is our IC Success Business Accelerator program. And you've heard JD mention that just briefly. So really quick, on this next page, you're going to see just a quick overview of all the companies and businesses and the stages of businesses that we support. And if you're not familiar with our program, it's called IC Success. We have two programs, primarily the one at the early stage called IC Success, and then the next stage, which is IC Growth. From pitch contest, where we put together community events, helping individuals come and validate their ideas, test their products, prototypes, give them feedbacks, and then essentially allow them to win cash prizes, which is really fun. For those that are a little bit more mature and are ready to launch and perhaps even grow as a company, but still early stage, we put them through a business accelerator program. This is a hands-on learning program. We put together roughly twice a year, I should say, and it's a small cohort of roughly 15 companies each year. And they're matched up with dedicated mentors, and they go through an extensive curriculum for about 10 weeks, and then it accumulates with a pitch contest right at the end. If you go through the program, you're afforded to enjoy the co-working space here free of charge. It's on the program. And then obviously we plug you in terms of the marketplace. And there's roughly 17,000 plus employees just here in the medical campus. For those companies that are more on the growth side, we're looking at companies that are making $30,000 in revenue and more, have perhaps more than one employee, and not so much on the early stages. We put them through our IC Growth program. This is where they meet with professionally facilitated smaller groups. It's a multi-year curriculum. It's not as extensive as the Business Accelerator like IC Success, but this is where our alumni funnel through, and there's additional investment opportunities. So that's kind of the two, think of the arms in terms of the work that we do. And at its core, everything that we do here at BNMC is really open to everyone, irrespective of their background, their education, perhaps the industry or location where they're living. It's really focused around the Western New York community, but the goal is really to have anyone with a business idea, with a business dream, to help them turn that into reality. And all the accelerators are free of charge. And we know that entrepreneurship really plays a vital role in our community when it comes to just creating new businesses, creating or fostering employment, I should say, fostering growth and enhancing our overall community. And so this is really our vision. As you can see, much of our work helps with strengthening the community, and we can't do that alone. So it's important that we work in partnerships. So I really enjoy kind of meeting different communities and ensuring that they have a sense of some of the work that we do, ways that they can collaborate with us, ways that we can bring in volunteers, and essentially making sure that our entrepreneurs are plugged in to the ecosystem as a whole. If you're wondering, well, what are the makeup of the entrepreneurs? Because I keep saying it's open to everyone. So it's entrepreneurs that are really at all stages of business. Latoya really started out as a bakery. It was a home business, and now she has her own storefront literally in less than 2 years. She's a graduate of the Winter 22 class. And so it's open to all industries, all business types, from yoga to tech, you name it. And so it's from all backgrounds, Main Street, brick and mortar, to services, and everyone pretty much brings in their own experience, and we take that into account. And something that's really, really unique about everybody is, they're passionate, they're determined to succeed, they're committed individually, but also collectively as a cohort. And then they're open to new ideas and open to being challenged. And they're very coachable. That's definitely important for us. And if you're wondering, how you're going to stay connected, we'll do a fun Q&A right after this. But our website is pretty much bnmc.org. I would highly recommend that you join our mailing list. By doing that, you'll be able to get all the fun updates. We have the upcoming pitch contest in May for the cohort right now that's graduating. They have been in classes, and so the pitch contest is open to the community. They'll be pitching for $10,000, and it's open to the public. We'll have about roughly 5 judges, and it's really going to be an exciting opportunity. And then the fall 2024 application is open. So if you know somebody that has a dream to start a business, encourage them to apply. This might be the program for them. If they're looking for mentorship, if they're looking for a program that really supports their needs, where it's free of charge. So really removing some of those additional barriers, encourage them to apply. The application is open. And then likewise, if you know of any mentor or somebody that is eager to support our next founders, please make sure you reach out to us. And my contact information is going to be right after this page, but we're also on all social media platforms, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or I should say X. We're also on LinkedIn, so you can directly follow us at BNMC Innovates. And here's my information. It's just jdahir@bnmc.org. And if I can just quickly maybe walk you through our website in case anybody has any trouble finding us. This is what the landing page looks like once you come in. Let me move this out of the way. It looks like I might have to minimize it. You go over innovation community. I see success. Click on learn more. And this page prompts you to all the things that you need to pretty much be aware of, from the entrepreneurs to supporters. This is where you can serve as a mentor. You can learn about our programs, our entrepreneurship programs. You can join our mailing list and meet some of the cohorts and also shop with us. So that's pretty much my presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and throw it back over to you, JD.
Yeah, thanks, Juweria. And I have a front row seat to all of this. I'm currently in the Innovation Center right now, where Juweria also has an office, and the cohorts gather. What are there, 2 a year, Juweria? 2 cohorts a year?
Two cohorts a year, yes.
Yeah.
And we are on our 5th cohort now.
Yeah, that's amazing. And speaking of that, you gave one success story. Can you give another, whether it's Crenshaw's Chicken and Waffles, or just give it, personalize it a little bit, a couple of the businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can mention Crenshaw Chicken and Waffles if you'd like.
Well, it's a favorite of mine. So.
It is the lunchtime hour. Greg Crenshaw went through the program, and initially when Greg applied, he was operating out of his house, and he left a technical job that he had with a clinic, and during COVID he was laid off, unfortunately. But in the back of his mind, he always knew that he was a great chef, and thought, okay, well, now that I've been laid off, maybe I just need to figure out ways that I can pivot. He wasn't able to land another job. And chicken and waffles was really a main dish that he's been able to learn from his grandmother. So he started out just kind of making those on a weekly basis, posting it on social media, doesn't have any business background, started making some sales. His friends and family started purchasing it. And then he hits a great number. He started generating about $3,000 a week. And that was a big problem for him, believe it or not. And so out and said, I'm making this money. I have no understanding of business. In fact, I don't even have a business account. Everything's mixed up. I don't have my business incorporated. I need support. And so we were able to really help him. He went through the accelerator program. He pitched. He eventually moved out of his house and located to the basement of a church. That's where he started operating. He got his licenses, did that for about a year. His mentors were able to help him get on Uber Eats, on DoorDash. So really figuring out different means to put the delivery out. He set up his business, set up a website, and then now he has a storefront. He's over in the Black Rock area, and it's called Crenshaw Chicken and Waffles. So you've got to definitely try it out. It's fantastic food, and he's definitely one of our success stories of many.
Yeah, that's great. And there's a lot in there that I have a question or two about. But I do want to remind our audience that we'd love to hear from you. So if you'd like, you can put questions in the chat, and then we'll queue them up in a little bit. You mentioned, what are the challenges? I'm assuming there are some that are more prevalent than others. So what do people like Greg and others in the program, what do they encounter?
Yeah, the biggest challenge, of course, is starting a business is just very difficult. It doesn't matter what age you started in, but then starting a business when you don't have a network of people around you that also have successful businesses makes it a little more isolating and lonely. And so that means you don't have a friend that's an attorney. It means you don't have a friend that can help you just troubleshoot the marketing question. So something very simple can turn into a big barrier. And so that's something that we face and see amongst the entrepreneurs that go through our programs. So seeking the network and so mentorship plays a big role there. Another big challenge we notice is access to opportunities. And so it's one thing to be able to be educated and financially literate and tech savvy so that you can, source the accurate information and then apply. But if you don't have access to that information at your fingertips, chances are you're going to miss out on those opportunities and you're just going to be doing things on your own in that same cycle that you're comfortable and familiar with. And so we're always trying to push the boundaries to make sure that they're well connected, are aware of the many opportunities that are here, and then actually walking them through, holding their hands, giving them feedback, support when they land a contract, the small pitfalls that they fall in. Our goal is really to help them save money and save time. And so that's another big issue in terms of access. Those are kind of the top two, I would definitely say. And then finally, it's some of the programs or opportunities they hear of, it's a financial burden. If you can't afford it, you're not going to be able to benefit from those programs. So that's definitely another big issue that we run into.
Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. I really didn't think about the kind of you mentioned their friends and family may or probably aren't business folks. So who do they go to just to kind of lament about the challenges and to seek advice around whether it be legal, financial, or otherwise? It leads me to you've mentioned a couple times the mentors and how valuable that is to the entrepreneurs. Can you profile a mentor? I mean, is it a successful small business owner operator? Is it a lawyer? Is it an accountant? Who should volunteer?
Yeah. So all the things that you said are make great volunteers. And so one of the top or the most important quality that we seek for in a mentor is to not say, hey, here's how I became successful, but be able to look at the entrepreneur and their mentee and say, here's how you can be successful, because their journey is going to be drastically different. The mentees are obviously going to be having traits and we're cultivating characteristics where they can be coachable, but it takes for the mentor to also be open-minded in the same sense and not draw assumptions. In terms of expert background, you can really have a business background, you can have a legal background, a marketing background. The business accelerator itself gives the entrepreneur everything they need in their toolbox, if that makes sense. And so we're looking for someone who can mentor them, where they can troubleshoot scenarios and really even sometimes serve as a life coach, because your life and your business kind of really intertwines. So you might be dealing with a broken furnace today. You're not going to prioritize the business. The conversation is going to be around the furnace. And so a mentor might really start to do life with you and learn about you, learn about the community that you're part of. Perhaps it's, on a different side of the spectrum. Perhaps it's closer. We've had mentors that are folks that are professionals in terms of in academia. We've had folks that own a small business, a barber shop, all the way to a CEO in a large company, from Silicon Valley to a barber shop, you name it. And so it's not a 1-to-1 match. We try to do a 3-to-1 ratio or a 2-to-1 ratio. And part of that is really so that it forges a strong team. And it's not just the mentor that has to constantly give a solution, but more so walk through and meet other mentors in the team. Someone who's open-minded, someone who's willing to give back and be part of the community and learn. And likewise for the mentee. So I would definitely recommend, if there's anyone that has any background on business and supporting a business, whether it's a startup, a company that can grow down the line. If you have that knowledge and expertise, even if it's limited, you might be helpful, especially because you're going to be part of the puzzle.
Yeah. Before I go on and on, I'm going to ask Allison, do we have any questions from folks?
Yeah, I have one question from Bob. Could you expand on alumni involvement?
Yeah, so alumni involvement is so critical. So there's two portions to that. For the companies that go through the program, once they finish the accelerator, then there's a 9 months wraparound services. So on a monthly basis, they participate in additional quarterly check-ins where they're able to secure seed funding from us, where we connect them to investors. And so that's part of our alumni engagements. Some of the entrepreneurs that have graduated over the years will then come back to serve as a mentor, because they see that they can also now help someone else that was in the same stages than when they first started out. Other alumni opportunities is we put together fireside chats, and we're actually excited to be having JD and his colleague Mateo presenting in this next fireside chat, which is scheduled for May 9th. And so following that, we'll have one in June. And so those are additional things. And the alumni portion is really what strengthens the program, because the companies are able to give back, but they're also able to engage with us, not just while they're in the program, but beyond it, whether that's the mentorship, whether it's coming to facilitate a workshop, continuing to benefit from some of the programming that we offer through our partnerships with law firms and other entities as such. So that's a little bit about the alumni program. And then, of course, we also give out awards. So that's another incentive to not only go through the program, but definitely come back and serve as an alumni expert.
Yeah.
We have another question that just came in. Who makes up the investors?
Oh, it's very large. The investors are, you can think of, it's investment from programs. So for example, we have partnerships, because there's a couple of different pools. We've got investors from Pursuit, we've got investors from Pathstone. So there's actually a loan ready program that we encourage our entrepreneurs to go through. The funding that they get from us initially is really to kickstart. So that's not an investment while you're in the program, it's actually a grant. And so it might be a small purchase that you need to do, an order, to really make sure that you're staying competitive. Perhaps some specific licenses that you need to acquire. We have a company that sells lizards, for example, and reptiles, and there are specific licenses he needs to have. And so making sure that he's up to date. So that's what some of the funding that we give essentially offers. And then during the pitch contest, the deck that the entrepreneurs are able to put together is what helps them then kind of seek out investments. So sometimes they will seek out an investor. It could be a private investor, a large VC firm. It's literally a laundry list, but our goal is really to help them climb that ladder, get the right investments, help them figure out what the rates will be, negotiate those investments so that they're always in a better position and not on the losing end. Because if you're on your own, we know entrepreneurship is isolating. So our goal is really to be part of that family network that they need to help them grow.
Yeah, thank you. That's interesting. You mentioned, being an entrepreneur can be a lonely business. Can be isolating, I think is the word you used. And I think the mentorship, the alumni coming back, even the pitch contest, creating that like an ecosystem around these folks is so essential. I have memory, I can recollect being at some larger events where you would, be here at the Innovation Center, just to let people know where Juweria and I am right now at the Innovation Center. She mentioned it's 640 Ellicott Street, which is just south or downtown from the heart of the medical campus. It's the home of ACV auctions. So this is a happening place, so Bob asked about investors and all, the investors who were early in ACV were rewarded they handsomely. So it's a happening place. Tell us, remind me, do you have kind of public events? I mean, I remember an event, maybe 100, 150 people there, and me standing in a circle, about 6 or 8 people with an entrepreneur, and you could just see the person, I don't know, glowing, growing, and so on and so forth. So talk about the value that just having an ecosystem around these folks provides.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And, JD, much of this also is the partnerships, because we can't be doing this work alone. And I'm glad you mentioned ACV. And ACV is a great partner of ours. And in fact, we have some mentors from ACV and put together some panel discussions around simple steps to turn your idea into a business. And we've had folks from ACV serve on that panel. So the goal here is, even when we are not hosting an event, when we partner with others who are, the community has access to all that information, and we're constantly expanding our footprint. And in terms of public events, it's not just the innovation community that hosts the events. I mean, if you think about health and well-being, for instance, there's so much outdoor activities on every Wednesday. You can participate in the free yogas that take place downstairs in our IC East community, or the Pocket Park, which is really outdoor. We have dance sessions, symposiums. So those are all entryways. But when it comes to entrepreneurship, specific things that we also offer is lunch and learns. We have segments around that, the fireside chats that I mentioned, and then just additional ways to collaborate with just the medical institution itself, from Roswell, Kaleida, Jacobs, so really some of the big medical players here at the campus, so that everybody is able to afford an opportunity to some of these startups that may not have made it to that list, that might not be on anyone's mind, for instance, because they haven't, broken that glass ceiling. So all of our events and programming is publicly available. We really don't charge anything. And that's very purposeful, because we want to make sure we are integrating communities, integrating networks. And you can do that just by visiting our website, joining the mailing list, which is very critical. And if there is anything that we haven't mentioned, or if there's something that anybody wants to elaborate on, I'm more than happy to have an additional conversation. I know I provided my email address, but definitely several programming, and it's not just during the summer season, it's all year round.
Yeah. Yeah, that sense of belonging for entrepreneurs is big. In the traditional sense, business owners are members of clubs, private clubs, but they can also business associations like the Buffalo Niagara Partnership or a Rotary Club. And I see success in the Buffalo Niagara, Medical Campus Innovation Center really providing a, almost like a clubhouse. I mean, it's a place to go that has resources. They're going to meet people that are liable to be helpful in their business. So that's really cool. So what about, in part of your bio, you mentioned underserved communities. Are people apprehensive to get involved, do you sense, or are they eager to get involved?
So a common term that we hear is, oh, those companies don't exist.
Yeah.
Those entrepreneurs that you're speaking of, they're really not here.
Right.
While we only take in per cohort roughly 15 companies for IC success, and then for growth, we'll probably have a similar number. On average, we get about 144 applicants per cohort. So without the partnership, it can almost feel like we're in the business of saying no. And so it's really critical that when somebody applies and submits an application and we vet them, we channel them to another organization. And it's perhaps IC Success is not for you. Here's where you can go. You can go to New York. You can go to a Beverly Gray. You can go to some additional programming that's offered here. So we give them that plethora of opportunities. And oftentimes what happens is other partner organizations do the same thing. And so that's really what's special and unique about our community. But in terms of, I know you asked specifically about underserved, we're talking about untapped potential. And so those would-be entrepreneurs are here. People have ideas from the most distressed part to the most affluent communities. But oftentimes what happens is there is that brick wall against the people that are from a more distressed part of the community. And so the zip codes that we focus on, particularly those on the west and east of Buffalo, communities that haven't been given that opportunity, that are told business ownership is not for you. And so our CEO, Matt Enstitz, really talks heavily about this too. It's about building wealth and changing the condition of one. And so a 9-to-5 job is fantastic, but having a business and being innovative in that sense and seeing yourself be the CEO, so that way you can pass on generational wealth, is so critical. And so the first 5 years when you launch a business is really the 5 years period where you're also more than likely going to shut down. And so we invest so much time in making sure that they don't shut down and they're able to not only survive, but thrive. And so 90%, I should say really 90+% of our applicants are people of color. We see a high number of women also, which is, again, a number that is not very surreal because entrepreneurship has just been dominated by men over the years. But that's changing. And so we're proud of that. We're proud to be part of the community that's also elevating our communities and making sure that everyone has an access to not only the services that we offer, but also can think of ways that they can stay in Buffalo and not move on to another Silicon Valley, but actually stay here. And that's what they all are. They're all small businesses. They're launching businesses in their own neighborhoods. They're hiring people that look like them. And so they're really not only just revitalizing the community, but leaving a bigger impact. So that's very crucial for us.
Well, thank you so much. Before I wrap up the session, today's session, I do, I've been around. I'm no kid. I'm a community activist. I'm not bragging. I just am. I'm not overstating how fortunate we are, to have the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus. Remember this organization, led by Matt Enstis, who works tirelessly with Juweria, but our constituent, the constituent organizations, whether it's Kaleida or Huffman Woodward or Roswell, and the list goes on, that support the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus, that leads to a program that is so well run by you and in your staff, Juweria. I think we're pretty damn fortunate, and there's little wins all along the way. You mentioned two of them specifically, and one day there's going to be a big one, which will be really rewarding. So thank you for your work. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, JD, and thanks for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. Thanks for what you do also.
Yeah, and thanks everyone for joining. Hope you join us next week. We're here every Tuesday at 12:30, and that is it. I think Dennis, our fearless leader, will be back. And on behalf of everyone, I'm JD Hartman. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.